computer. Wonderful. Welcome everyone to the masterclass on There's No Room for Women's Emotions in the Workplace. I know, a very challenging title, so I hope you're excited for what we're going to cover today. And my name is Lizzie. For those of you who I have not met before, I am a women's life coach, and I'll tell you a little bit more about myself shortly. So the session itself is going to be 45 minutes, and yeah, I'm going to run through what we will cover. So what I expect you to get out of this session, I feel as though you want to trust yourself. So you don't need to hide your emotions. You want to understand yourself, so your frustration doesn't ruin your whole week and your tears don't question your professionalism. You want to learn to listen to yourself, so you know why you're feeling this way and how to move through it. And that's exactly what I'm going to give you so many tools to manage that. And this will allow you to speak up so you can communicate how you feel, what you need, and allow you to feel validated. Today, I'm going to share with you 4 different things. So we're going to be covering things you probably already are doing, which is amazing. Keep doing. Secondly, it might be things you already know, but perhaps aren't doing. So this is a beautiful reminder to get back on track. Thirdly, it might be a new way of approaching something. So something brand new for you. Or fourth, the one that I always enjoy, it's just a new way to describe things. You might have heard it several times before, but the words that I use or how I describe it will sometimes just click. And it's those little moments, it's those tiny little nuggets that I really want you to cherish from today's session. I'm afraid this masterclass is not a magic wand to make you never have emotions and never make you feel anything once again, but it is a way to compassionately bring you confidence, bring you tools, and to reignite that fire within you so you can show up fully at work. And surprisingly, it ripples out through life as well. So it's really, really exciting. And first of all, I just really want to celebrate you that you are here, you are open to learning. So be proud of that. Be proud of yourself for showing up on this Saturday morning, or if you're watching the replay back, like taking that time for yourself and having that expansive mindset to listen and to learn and to take something away for today. So yeah, I'm celebrating you and I'm really proud of you. We're going to move through 4 things today. The first being our mind, the second, our body, and the third, our soul. And then finally, I'll cover what's next. So first on that mind is learning how you actually have a lot more control than you think over your emotions. Secondly, it's our body. How are we listening to what our body is telling us? So giving you some really nice tools that you can use to self-regulate, to get into that calmer state of mind and to be able to process those emotions. And then finally, your soul. So who are you in this life? What's going on? What's those foundations that you really want to create and take that bigger step back on what's happening in your life to be able to allow you to connect within, to listen to those emotions. And then finally, what's next? How to put that into practice and any additional support that you may need. So just a little reminder there, like feel free to ask as many questions as you want in the chat box. I'd love to see you like kind of commenting of saying like, oh, this really resonates with me, or I feel this way also, or I feel this way in this moment. Feel free to chat away. I would love to see it. I've kind of muted you all for now, and then later on I'll give you a chance for any questions or any kind of thoughts and opinions that you have on what we've covered today. So that will just be how we will cover it. So let's get started. Oh, I'll just Where's that little thing from Canva? First of all, who am I? Just a quick little intro about me. So as I said, my name is Lizzie and I am based in Dubai. I am British, as you can probably tell from my voice. So my story starts. So I used to work in a really fast-paced travel tech company. It was incredible. I learned a lot. It was a very steep learning curve. And yeah, typically a corporate environment. So within that, I did grow. I grew. I was with them for 6 years in total. I thrived in certain ways until I couldn't anymore. For me, I'm a person that is very empathetic, hence why I'm a coach now, but I give out a lot of that energy. And for me, it was in a career that, yeah, wasn't aligned with who I am and what I believe I'm here to kind of deliver into this world. So I still, no matter how much I kind of pushed for those promotions, pushed for those achievements, gave all the energy, it still didn't quite feel enough. And in the last couple of years, I stopped and paused and took responsibility of my life to really understand what it is that I want and need to be happy. So since then, I have taken that journey. I've taken some pretty bold decisions and built a life that lights me up. So it's me chilling on the beach and yeah, the sun is shining outside and that's a life that I created. I now work for myself. I now coach incredible, ambitious women, just like all you are today, to create that same feeling within them in their life too. So I coach them one-to-one to step into their full power and create that balance from within, because it's all there. It's all there whether you believe it or not. All the answers are within you. And this allows you to get really clear on both who you are inside of work and outside. It's that key kind of like distinction there. We are one person, we are whole. There's not just what we're going to be talking about today and those emotions in the workplace. It goes much further than that. So I understand, I have been there. If you have ever felt that a little bit of lost along the way, I've got you. So let's get started. So first of all, why are emotions important? Why is this important? Let's just take a step back and think how emotional intelligence, as essentially that's what it is, in being able to regulate and understand your emotions and present yourself. Why is this important? What is this also impacting? So when you are in that aligned place, understanding what emotions are happening for you and what they're showing, you have much clearer decision-making power. So think about how that would impact you in your working week. And alongside that is relationship success. So again, who's those first few people at work where you're like, these are the relationships that are both ends of the scale, amazing, really, really get along with these people, manager, colleagues, friends, all at work, versus the challenging relationships. These are the ones we really want to get into and move forward by taking this responsibility of your own emotions. And essentially it comes down to your day-to-day interactions. It's how you feel, it's how you move through that day, it's what you're producing, but how you're feeling within that, how happy you are at work. And finally, it's self-care. And I don't just mean taking a bath and going for a walk. I mean, being able to understand your emotions allows you to, first of all, create the foundations to live a more successful life, but essentially also notice those signals and have that awareness. And awareness is such a key word that I really want you to listen to throughout this session today, as awareness and that space where we kind of separate ourselves from the emotion allows us to see, okay, what is this emotion showing me? Maybe I do need to take some more self-care. So just some of the things that really impact on a wider level. Okay, truth bomb. I'm going to be quite direct with you here. Someone else's behavior will not change your reactivity. It starts and ends with you. So what I mean by this, I know that the title of this session, saying there's no place for women's emotions, like it's very provocative kind of title. It almost looks for a person to blame, and typically it could be a gender to blame, pointing at that at the male. Let's remove that for 1 second, because our emotions are all within our control. We get to choose. We get to choose how we feel. We get to choose how we respond. And the difference there is respond rather than react. So I really just want to emphasize there that this practice is so important for you to know that you have that responsibility from within. And firstly, we'll be talking about the mind. So like I've been saying, you have so much more power over how you feel than you think you do. So emotions don't just happen to us. We aren't born with them. We aren't born scared of spiders. We learn and we react, or like respond rather, in certain ways from what our mind is understanding. So to help you kind of understand that a little bit further, what even is an emotion? So emotions are unconsciously created from 3 different ingredients. Firstly, it's your body budget. So by this, I mean, think of yourself as a battery, as an energy kind of scale. And when you're full up, how are you full up? What are those factors? You probably had a good night's sleep. You are rested. You have fed yourself well. You have eaten nutritious foods. You are hydrated. You have movement, exercise, and they create the hormones within your body. So you're already coming up at these emotions or processing these emotions from a much more balanced, stable place from your body budget. And if one of those is depleting, it's much harder to move through these emotions. Secondly, it's the current situation. So of course, emotions happen from what happens in front of you. So if we think from a workplace scenario, let's think on the harder end of the scale. So you get a challenging email through, someone's called you out and asked you for a one-to-one, saying your boss says, like, please see me at the end of the day. You're like, oh God, your heart drops and you're like, fear, go into this fear state of being like, oh gosh, what's that going to be? Or someone just really annoys you. You're working with a supplier and they're just speaking to you in a certain tone and really undermining you. That is the situation. That's the second kind of thing. And then thirdly is our brain's predictions from past experience. So like I just mentioned, our brain is doing its best. It's making a guess of what emotion is most relevant for us to feel in this state. And biologically, yeah, we are gonna, if a tiger's attacking you, if we're going back to those kind of caveman days, if a tiger's attacking you, there's an emotion that's gonna be triggered to escape that situation, to protect you. However, if we move to present day, when we are feeling certain emotions, a lot of the ways we do that are guesses or predictions from past experiences. However, that's where we can challenge them. It perhaps isn't quite a useful emotion or a relevant emotion to be feeling in that moment. So just to give you a bit of an idea for this one, for myself, I'm a crier. I cry in many different situations. And for me, I've noticed that pattern I've learned that pattern from my parents. So from when my mum has responded to certain situations in the past, she very much cries and gets emotional. She's very empathetic, like myself. However, now reflecting back on my own work experience, I have cried in scenarios that, yeah, I didn't really want to. I didn't really need to feel like I needed to cry. I am fully validating that you can feel these emotions. It's absolutely fine to cry. But for me, I think I cried all the time, whereas I've been able to use these tools that I'll go through shortly to really just calm myself and understand that I have a choice, that it doesn't have to automatically be the crying. I can choose a different way to approach and feel that situation. So just what I'm saying there is that guess that your brain is making. So in this situation, it is so important for ourselves to pause to how to process that emotion. So when your brain is making that prediction, this is your power. This is the exact moment where you get to choose how you want to feel. So there's a few steps you can move through this. The first one is to feel it, to not fight it. And by feel it, I mean sitting with it, with that emotion. And again, hands up, I had to Google what the hell like sitting with an emotion like even means. It is a literal sense, word for word. Sit there and feel that emotion. Feel it moving through your body. Feel your heart rate like buzzing and feeling you might get clammy hands or an anxious stomach. Like notice what's going on and just let it be, let it pass. Because whatever emotion, whether it's happiness and joy or sadness, it always passes. That's the beauty of life, the kind of indifference about that. It will always pass through. The second thing that you can do in that moment is to name that emotion. And even by writing it down is a really nice technique to do as well. The point that I really want to emphasize here of saying how I'm noticing that I am feeling X. So you are not that feeling. I am sad. I am not sad. I'm not that emotion. Like I said, the emotion's coming and passing. So separating yourself through the language that you're telling yourself by saying, I am noticing. So it's creating that difference, that separation and awareness that I am feeling X, Y, Z. And there's some really nice like tools to try and use of trying to expand that vocabulary. So if you're saying I'm feeling stressed, what does that stress mean for you? But equally, can you expand that? Can you use a few more different words to really help define that situation? So I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm feeling intimidated, I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling fearful. Like, what other words can you use to really help your mind process and let yourself be in that moment and feel that emotion? Thirdly, it is around disrupting it. So emotions on a chemical level only last for 90 seconds, which is crazy because if you think, oh, well, I've been angry for half an hour, I was angry for the whole day the other day, the actual chemical reaction in your body is only lasting for 90 seconds. So anything after that, it's your choice. It's your brain almost like fueling that emotion and choosing to overthink and to choosing to feel that way. So in that moment, after the 90 seconds of feeling it, or a few minutes if you want to sit there longer, how can you disrupt it? How can you change that scenario? Can you go make a cup of tea, go and change that environment? Can you go for a walk? Can you put some music on? And there's lots of different techniques I'll talk to you about in a second, but the key is there to disrupt, to notice that, okay, I'm feeling it, and then I can move or change my mindset to move through that emotion. I know it's not as simple as that, but we'll go into it a little bit further. The fourth, whilst feeling that emotion, is to question it. How truthful is the story that you're telling yourself? What is the reality that's going on here? And question its truth. Like, should I be feeling really intimidated by this person speaking to me that way? It's absolutely valid to say, yeah, I am. That's absolutely fine. Okay. But really try to question that and try to lower the intensity of that emotion in with that question. And then after that, question what it's showing you. So again, going back to that tiger example, like it's showing you to get the hell out of there, to run. However, if something is intimidating you, what is that showing you? What else could that be saying? Like, are you speaking up? Are you actually sharing your opinion there? Is that person speaking to you in a tone that you don't want to feel, and you need to feed that back to them in a different way later on? Like, what else can you learn from that emotion and listen to what else is telling you? And then finally, it's the acceptance without judgment. So the first few phases are noticing and it's awareness, like feeling it and having that presence within your body. And then the final thing is to have that acceptance and saying like, okay, I'm noticing that I'm feeling a bit upset at the moment. I'm noticing that I'm feeling that, and that's okay. It doesn't mean anything about me as a person, about my worth, about my delivery of my work, about who I am on a broader scale. It's very much in that moment, acceptance without judgment, and coming at it with that love and compassion for yourself, that you're allowed to feel whatever you want to feel. So a little technique here, I'm just aware of time. I'm going to have to rush through some things a bit further. Okay, so the next stage here of that mindset is what questions to ask yourself in that moment of how you can actually reframe, rather than just that pure reaction, that pure, I don't just want to say seeing red, because emotions can be much less intense as well, but kind of what's happening in that moment, and what can you ask yourself? So just what I mentioned then earlier is like, what's the reality? How true is your interpretation of what's happening? What else could be going on? So rather than just taking literal sense of like that words or your mindset, what else could be going on that could be provoking your emotions? So going back to that body budget, are you exhausted? Have you not eaten breakfast? Are you running on low energy because your mind's worried about a family issue? All of these things feed into the emotion of this scenario itself. Then you can question what the person's intent was. So yeah, were they intending to deliver that message in a certain way? Is it your response, or is it actually like, yeah, it's the reality? And then from that, what's another way you could interpret it? Just kind of flipping it on its head of being like, okay, if I weren't to react in this way, how could I react? What would happen? What would actually be any different, and what would the outcome be? So the reframing technique here really creates that space between your reaction and your response. And what we're really hoping for is leaning into that response rather than that quick reaction. It's like, no, like slow down that process, taking a few seconds, a couple of minutes to respond. And the more you practice this, the more it comes second nature. Like at the beginning, when you first go back to work this week and start to apply this, it might feel a bit like, oh gosh, I can't do all this in the moment. Like I need to respond and say something right now. But the more you can get comfortable with these steps and thinking in this process, that's when it becomes second nature. So essentially it's giving yourself that time to choose how you want to feel, and it helps you see many more options that are open. And it essentially allows you to connect with yourself in that present moment and starting making less assumptions. So rather than getting lost in the story or lost in what could be or what might be happening, it's to really connect back with yourself and saying, how am I feeling? Let myself feel that, let myself move through that and past that and feel all of that emotion like within my body, and then move through into, yeah, a more constructive way to be. So just a little note here from one of my clients that has been able to use this is, just wanted to take a quote from her. So I used to feel so overwhelmed and stressed at the slightest of situations. Together with Lizzie, I am now able to recognize the common themes that were popping up. I've now got the framework to guide myself without as much pressure, and can look to my future so much clearer. Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to jump straight into a little meditation. Bear with me 1 second. I'll just put the tunes on. So if you want to get yourself comfortable and with your feet sort of flat on the floor, push your seat bones back into your seat if you're sat down, and really get that back supported. And I'm going to jump straight into it and play some music. Hopefully you can hear that. We're just going to do this for 5 minutes. So yeah, I'll just turn this down slightly. There we go. So closing your eyes. Begin by gently breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, giving yourself that full permission to relax. Moving down from our mind space into our hearts and body, feeling that shift. Our minds work so hard for us, and we're often stuck up in our heads. And this is a time for you to breathe and to tap into that heart space. There's nowhere that you need to be for the next few minutes. You just need to be here in this moment of following my words. As you feel your shoulders drop away, down from your ears, you're feeling your spine grow tall as if you're a puppet on a string. Start to bring your awareness and sensation to your skin. Now bringing your awareness down to your feet. Maybe wiggling your toes for a moment. Imagining that you have roots like a giant oak tree. Notice these roots traveling down all through the layers of the earth. Now seeing these roots travel out wide as you ground into this present moment as you breathe. If your mind starts to wander, it's okay. It's what our minds do. Bring your mind back to your breath. Back to the sensation of the roots that are anchoring you in the present moment. Now bring your attention to your feet once again, just noticing. Noticing what your toes feel like in this moment. Bring your attention to your ankles, your calves, your thighs. What do they feel like today? And moving your attention up to your sit bones and your pelvis and your hips, your stomach, breathing. Just feeling that sensation move through your body. Bringing yourself back home to your body. As you continue to breathe, you might notice the gentle rise and fall of your belly and your chest. Imagine that breath traveling from the top of your spine right down to the base. Bring your attention to your heart center, your beautiful heart. Now imagine breathing in and out from your heart center. Now noticing your arms and your hands, just noticing. And draw your attention to your jaw, allowing it to relax. Focusing on your facial muscles, inviting them to relax a little more. Now noticing your entire being and letting it be. Feeling a sense of gratitude here as you breathe. A sense of gratitude for yourself here, for showing up, for taking that time to ground and center yourself for this day. Now just breathing here gently for a few more moments. Tap into your light, your peace of your true nature. Knowing that you can carry this feeling with you and it's available to you whenever you want. All you've got to do is tap in and allow those sensations to come forth. Now, as we come to a close, I just want you to take 3 slow, deep breaths in through the nose in your own time. And sighing as you release out through your mouth. And slowly, as you bring your awareness back into your body, you can wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. And whenever you feel ready, slowly open your eyes and come back. Sorry, just abruptly start with that music there. Just gonna present once more. There we go. So I already feel calmer and I wasn't even fully doing it, but I hope that that gives you a little taster of what we're going to move into now, which is the body. And my message for you here is stop letting your mind run the show and actually lean in and listen to what your body is feeling and those emotions. So we have thousands and thousands of thoughts each day in our mind. Very small fraction of them are actually useful. A lot of them are even on the subconscious, so we're acting from that place without even a conscious awareness and thinking. Whereas when we listen and connect back in that with our body, full circle connects the body, the mind, and the soul. So what we've done there with that meditation practice, and essentially it's just focusing on your breathing, but it's the tools here that I want to share with you are about regulating your parasympathetic nervous system. So it's basically how your body is feeling. So when we are in this highly emotive state, typically you might be in that fight or flight mentality. Your emotions, how I like to describe it, is on this wave. You're kind of on this really high, like roller coaster of a wave. So if an experience happens to you, you tip over quite easily. So those emotions feel so much more overwhelming, so much more powerful within your body. And you feel a bit out of control. You're like, oh my gosh, this emotion is just happening to me. What do I do? What we really want to move through is, rather than being on this wave, we want to bring that down to this calmer, more neutral state. And when we're in this calmer state, we are able to act and think and move from a much more logical, calmer way of thinking. And right back to the beginning, when I said that decision-making process, that is when you are at your fullest, your clearest way of thinking. All of these processes allow you, just like we've been doing, to feel those emotions without judgment, without being on this high wave, like going back to that neutral state. It's much easier to say, like, of course I'm feeling upset, like someone upset me. Someone said something, I'm allowed to feel that upset. Have it without judgment, watch it pass. It's much easier to be to move through that. Some grounding techniques to really use in the moment, just like we did there, is to focus on your breathing. So I teach a lot of these techniques to my clients through coaching, but essentially it's whatever works for you. So I can give you all the different tools and you can try them all. But when you're in that moment, or even through the day, it's really nice to just ground yourself and feel present by focusing on your breathing. And it can be as simple as 3 breaths, 10 breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth, and noticing as you breathe in through the nose, feeling those sensations. So the air feels cooler, like you're feeling your lungs fill up, you're feeling that energy, you're feeling that oxygen come within. And then as you pass it out through your mouth, feeling how it's warmer air, it's passing out through your stomach is dropping with that. And just really coming yourself back to that present moment is a much clearer way of and calmer way of being. Another really nice technique is to connect with your body through that. So typically I love to have my hand on my heart when I'm feeling certain things, I don't know, stressed, overwhelmed, whatever, to really connect with myself. It's both that comforting, but it also allows you to have that presence. So the moment of touch, that sensation, but equally you feeling your heart and noticing as it does slow when you're breathing through it and having that control and that connection within. And another thing is to notice the strength of the emotion in your body. So can you number it? So like we did earlier around like naming and describing that emotion, how can you number it? What is it feeling? Where is it in your body? Can you touch that part of your body? Are you feeling a really tense stomach? Perhaps just putting a hand onto your stomach and saying, like, I'm feeling this right here and it's currently at 9 and I'm going to breathe through it. I'm going to use these techniques and I'm going to slow it down till it feels like a 5. And then I can move through that. Movement or shaking it off is so good. I bloody love it. It sounds ridiculous, but shaking your hands out is the best way to release that energy, because essentially emotion is energy in motion. It's energy that's caught up in your body, and your body's just like, I need to get rid of this before I can start thinking clearly. So whether that's going for a walk, going to make a cup of tea, or like putting Taylor Swift on, shake it off and dancing around, like if it's possible to release that energy in any way, then please, I would highly recommend you try that. So shaking it off, I literally mean shaking your hands, like shaking it out, even for like 30, 60 seconds, really does release that. As well as bouncing on the spot. Again, it also sounds ridiculous, but up to, I think it's like 30 seconds is all you need to do. Like literally bouncing on the spot resets your body and your mindset there. There is a tapping technique. There's different points across your body, but the simplest one is to like start tapping there. So that's a really nice thing you can do like at your desk. And it's really like subtle. You can do it like obviously under the table or in a meeting if you need to just really like calm yourself there. And if we think back to how do babies and little ones really soothe themselves and self-soothe, they rub their earlobes. So even just like going onto that tiny piece, that I don't know what parts of the ear are called, that bit there, if you start squeezing that and sort of rubbing it, it's a really nice grounding, calming technique for your body. As well as this, everyday practices are things that you can use. So first of all, women, tracking your menstrual cycle is key. It is so empowering. Apparently, loads of my friends were doing this for years, and I only kind of got on the bandwagon this year. So I'm like, oh, cheers for the heads up. But since I've done it, I'm like, oh, wow, I can understand how I'm feeling or what's going on for me like this week or this day, aligning it with menstrual cycle, because it's not an excuse. It just gives you that extra bit of knowledge of being like, oh, wow, I did feel this way and I felt amazing in this first week and I had so much energy, but this next week it absolutely dropped. Like, is it me? Is it my emotion? Is it my boss? Like, what's going on? And then you're like, wait a minute, I'm at different parts of my cycle. I'm going to have different things going on. And again, it's just this power of knowledge to understand what's happening within. And journaling is also an amazing practice to start just letting yourself process and think those emotions and that way of thinking outside of your brain. So coming out of your brain into your body. I love the phrase of like rage on the page, just like writing it all down, like of the rage, but equally choosing how you want to show up, have that gratitude, notice where you want to be focusing on for that day. Like, okay, you might have had a stressful situation in a meeting. What can you be grateful for in that moment? I know it sounds hard to do, but again, it's a conscious decision, it's a conscious effort, because essentially if you are choosing to feel a certain way or continue with that feeling for the remainder of the day, like you're the one that's going to be impacted. Whereas if you're shifting to a more grateful, loving, compassionate mindset for yourself through journaling techniques, it's a calming way. Mindfulness, such as the meditation we just did, really powerful practice. But mindfulness can simply be going for a walk, taking that time for yourself. Or finally, it's around like, what story are you telling yourself? Like really taking that space, mindfulness, journaling, even just sitting with yourself on your commute home, like questioning what's the reality versus that narrative. Like, what story am I telling myself? Am I the victim? Or can I do more about this situation than I first think? And Kiara is another one of my amazing clients. She is doing so well. I'm so happy for her. Like, she was burnt out, let's be honest, fully consumed by her job. And here she is, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, she like booked a last minute trip. I think it was to Corfu, just for a long weekend, of being like, I'm going to take this time for myself. And I was like, yes, so amazing. But I'll just read the testimonial from her. I feel like a different woman. Things come up at work and I'm feeling so much more relaxed and more chill. I have such a different perspective. I just feel so much calmer, even though things at work don't go perfectly. Just know things will be all right. I've been setting really clear boundaries to protect my time and energy. So this is the thing, like I'm teaching all these different and guiding her through these different emotional intelligence awareness practices, but how that actually impacts her at work. She has that ability to now step back and create boundaries within her life and protecting her energy. I'm really conscious of time, so I'm going to skip to the next one, which is soul. I'm actually going to have some drink. So soul, how are you connecting with yourself, and how are you choosing to show up each day? So the emotions within the work and what's happening there aren't just the full picture. So if we take a step back, who are you in the story of your life? What else is going on? I want you to be creating the foundations for the life that you desire to be living. And again, this is typically what I love to work with women on, because typically they're coming to me with perhaps a work-based scenario or a work-based challenge, and just, I'm not feeling this way, I'm not feeling motivated, I'm whatever it is at work, I'm feeling stressed. But the root cause is often over here. It's not just that question that they're asking, it's how they are showing up in the rest of their life. So if we ask ourselves, like, how are we filling up our cup and spending our time outside of work? It's just, if not even more important than what we actually do within the workplace. Because if we're coming from a more holistic, balanced state of being, then the emotions aren't going to be overwhelming, because you're like, well, they can come and go. I'm not bothered because everything else feels okay. I feel in control. And that this, again, it's like taking responsibility for your own happiness, for your own life. Like, no one else is going to be doing it for you. You're sitting there complaining about certain things, like, what have you done about it? And I know that's a very direct way of thinking, but it's a beautiful way to do that. This is exactly what I do with coaching, because you can't see some of the things that you're doing yourself. You often need that challenge or that different perspective to question how you're showing up and what else is going on that impacts it all. How do the dots all connect together? So for example, this could look like an underlying stress for you. Could be that you're ignoring your finances. There's things going on there that you could spend time on that would impact you in other ways. Or perhaps your boundaries with your family, the time that you're creating for yourself, what you're doing for yourself within that time. And if we had more time in this session, I would ask you to sit and pause and reflect and realign with that for a second. But like, think about that today. Like, think about, like, okay, it's not just the emotion in the workplace, what's happening, taking that step back. What else is going on for me at the moment? If you're thinking, if you go 180, what's at the other side? What else can you be focusing on that is indirectly then going to impact how you are able to navigate the emotions within work and outside of work? And essentially here, it's those tiny, tiny little changes that you put into place each day realigns you with the direction that you want to go in life. It's that age-old phrase of, don't go and sign up to a gym on January the 1st and expect you're going to be going 5-7 days a week. It's not realistic. That's not how we navigate life or manage to make those changes. It's those tiny little things of being like, okay, actually, maybe I'm going to start walking each morning. That's part of my routine now. I'm just like, start slow, start building it in. I'm going to start meeting up with friends for a walk. I'm sorry, I'm focusing on exercise there, but but you see what I mean? It's those tiny, tiny little changes. So what are those things that you can do for yourself? And what I want to kind of emphasize there is not to wait until that burnout crash moment. It's not waiting until that emotional reaction triggers you within the workplace. It's not when you blow up or feel super heightened emotionally at work. How can you create those foundations within your life straight away? And this is exactly what I worked with Ekaterina on. So Ekaterina, she's thriving, she's glowing, look at her now. So Lizzie guided me from being stressed and humiliated to establishing into a confident, independent C-level manager. And that word humiliated for me was so, so powerful. And how she is showing up now is different person. I'm able to evaluate my progress and keep track of things that matter. I now care more about myself and my inner peace, and have found a balance between work and personal life. I'm so grateful for Lizzie, to Lizzie for taking my life to a whole new level. So just to wrap things up, I know we've just gotten over time, but I just wanted to share with you how you can have that extra support. So hopefully some of the tools and questions and awareness that I kind of shared with you today are things that you were like, that one thing I'm going to put into place this week, I'm going to try. However, if there is, if you're feeling like you want to go a bit deeper and you're really ready for change, then I'm here. I'm really here to support you. And I think it's such a beautiful time because it's coming to the end of the year. There's 3 months left and quite aligns with what I offer. So typically, I want to help you claim that full responsibility for creating the balanced, purpose-led life that you dream of living. So I offer a 12-week one-to-one tailored personalized coaching program, which consists of 6 90-minute calls. So they're like every 2 weeks on Zoom. And I have unlimited WhatsApp and email support, which is the juicy bits in between. Like that's when the big shifts really happen. It's when you're in the moment, you're at work, something's happened. We're like, okay, let's just message through this, voice note through that, and really maintain that momentum of those changes that you're practicing and putting into place. And then finally, some real life assignments and tasks, meditations and worksheets. So lots of other like tools and kind of practices to kind of move through that 12-week program together. So if you are interested in that, I just want to hear more about it, I would love to speak with you. So please do book a free discovery call. We'll be chatting away for half an hour and really exploring where you're at and really where you want to get to and how that is possible. So that is what we have covered today. And I just wanted to, I know we've run over, like I said, but if you have any questions, please do let me know. And that's the link for the discovery call now. I will just have a little look at the chat box. Someone said, thank you, Lizzie, wonderful. I similarly inherited from my mum, obviously about the crying. She barely cried when she was stressed. And now I struggle with crying when I'm stressed, but that's not helpful. I cannot release the stress this way and it accumulates. That's an amazing awareness that you are noticing that it is almost like a suppression. And that's the thing, it's about having the ability to express and understand each of your emotions. But with that, I would also give yourself a bit of compassion. Like you don't have to, crying is just one way of expressing yourself, but like what feels good for you? Like what, if you are suppressing things, okay, we can dive into that a little bit deeper, but notice what actually is happening. Like what is noticing within your body? Like what thoughts and what story are you telling yourself, and how do you want to express that, and how do you want to feel it? Amazing session. Thank you, Lizzie. Very inspiring. Wonderful. If anyone's got any questions, pop them in the chat box, or obviously you can reach out to me, email, LinkedIn, wherever else you want to find me, Instagram, WhatsApp, or find me. Thank you, Lizzie. Very insightful. Wonderful. Okay, well, if no one's got any questions, I'll leave it there and click onto my final slide saying thank you. Wonderful. Thank you so, so much, women, ladies. That was a weird way to end. I have to run now. Thank you so much, Lizzie. It was great. Wonderful. Thank you so much, ladies. Have a wonderful Saturday. Speak to you all very soon. And sending lots of love. Thank you so much again for showing up for yourself. So proud of you. And can't wait to hear how you put some of these tools into place. Okay, bye.